stage. Now they've got to do it again on Miramar. 2 games of Miramar back to back. That's all that's left. It has been a lot of man hours, a lot of blood, sweat and tears over the past few days, Blank, and it all finishes in these next 2 games.
It's all that's left. Some of these teams really have to push very, very hard to get towards the top of the tables here. Teams that we're looking at, Alter Ego started off so strong on that first day, but how they have fallen down to 12th place now, 110 points. And Quest, they felt like things were all over, that it was all done with, yet at 11th place right now, 113 points. They're still pushing things further. Gladiators are not safe. And honestly, right, you know, they didn't play very well this tournament. If a team like Alter Ego or Quest want to push them further down the leaderboard, potentially removing their spot here in the survival stage, I wouldn't be surprised if it did happen. Right now, though, like you said, the grip strength better be strong for teams like Tiamba, Gladiators, and DX. They want to remain in here. For Falcons, it's a bit of a tougher road for them. They really also need themselves the chicken dinner here, and they have just not had a day of it.
No, they really haven't. Needing a little bit more of an upwards draft. You can see the separation at this point from the teams that are being able to really thrive under the pressure they're now in, and the teams that are crumbling, Blank. The last day blues for a few of them. Man, it's been so crazy as well, sort of, you know, the turn in the tides for a few of our squads. The way there now is sort of a bit of a feud between Gladiators and Tiamba. Gladiators being able to get a chicken dinner today, whereas Tiamba, it's been a lot more about stealing away those elims to pad those stats. Quest as well, making a hell of a comeback. Complete change from the fact that they looked a bit deflated. You know, it didn't really feel like it was the same squad, Blank. They've kind of had smiles on their faces the whole event, but at the start of the day, it felt like they really weren't gelling. Since then, though, they've been proving that their gameplay is what matters. And I think really that is the big part. You know, you can talk a big game, but just being able to show up on the actual battleground does so much more for you.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of pressure on Al-Hajj, right? I think a lot of people had eyes on him to be a big performer. And let's be honest, he has performed very well, keeping his team in these fights where it mattered most. But sometimes it requires another player to pick up the slack so you don't feel like it's all on you all the time. And that player has been Fahidan from Quest. He's really had the game of it today. And I think the rest of the team's got to be proud of him, because stepping up on a day like this, where every single point counts to you, where it feels like you didn't have a hope in hell to get towards that top 11, Fahidan has just had some mega games, despite all the pressure that's been going against him, where no one really expected all that much from him at the start of this one. It's really, really nice to see, and I think Quest is super grateful that he did have those matches on side as well. In the meantime, we do get our circle heads over towards the western edge. DX dead center in Monte Nuevo, keeping things tight. Reject also within the circle, but far towards that northeastern side at the moment, but further in than most other teams. This is the squad that wants to chase down, catch Alpha 7, who currently are just absolutely blasted. You can see this. The way they play just really feeds into the fact that they have used 606 total throws throughout all these games. They're constantly pushing, constantly using smokes to get close, constantly nading. They're really good at taking control of a situation where it looks very bleak for them.
That's so much utility. And none of it really feels like it's kind of just in vain. There's always a lot of thought process behind it. You know, with the offensive utility, they're using their Molotovs really nicely to force players out of position. Good 2-player nades when they want to take someone down. And the instantaneous smoke walls we've seen them bringing out as well. So great understanding of where and when they need to use their util to give themselves the biggest advantage as possible. Quest on screens here, though, taking their time to get looted, suited, and booted. Just roaming across, gathering some weaponry to play with. Bra Esports, they've been hit with the unlucky stick multiple times, it feels like. Is there really any room for them to save their own bacon? Or at this point, are we looking at Bra just fully cooked? Because they don't have many chances left to save themselves, or not ideal for Zia on the getaway. Rolling the vehicle, but luckily no peak comes out.
Yeah, for Bra Esport, they'd have to have two bangers coming into this one. They'd have to have one game after another of around about 15 to 20 points. And that's a big ask right at the end of the day as well, where, you know, you can see that the door is closing on you. The light is getting dim as it exits the room. And I think for Bra Esports, that type of thing just really gets in your head at the end of the day. So for them, if they can hold on, if they can have that mental resilience to keep up with these final matches of the day, that is what you want to see from Bra Esport if you're a fan of them. But again, it has been one of those games, one of those tournaments, this group green, where anything is now possible with the way that it has shaped up at the top of the lobby and at the bottom of the lobby, and just how hungry these teams are coming to PMGC. I don't think we've seen so much clawing at the door to get in since forever, man. This PMGC 2023 is going to be an absolute hoot, even when we get to the grand finals. I don't think we're going to see a single bad team going through, and I'm very, very excited for it.
No, we've done really well with getting so much talent being able to find their way out of this group, right? Because that's the one scary thing when you have such a stacked group, is that it feels like if some of the games go a bit unlucky for some of the bigger squads, or they don't turn up when it matters most, we lose that ability to see them later on in the tournament. Instead here, I think, you know, the squads that are going through to the survival stage from this blank, oh, it's spicy. You know, I can't wait to see who else they're going to be meeting and how we'll have those clashes handled later on. Man, it really is interesting what we've been given here. Group Green has delivered on so many fronts, and it's been a treat to behold, right? The way there's been constantly a power struggle as well in the upper echelons, which I think, you know, towards day two, we kind of thought it was all said and done already, where you're looking at it and thinking, well, there isn't much room for a lot of these other teams to contend towards that top spot. Suddenly Loops just start playing some of the best PUBG Mobile we could ask from them, right? Some really aggressive but smart games. You get Alpha 7 actually finally getting some victories alongside finding so many elims. And what a beautiful storyline it's been for Reject, right? Like, that's super sick to see the way they've ascended. They've had such cool mentality the entire tournament, blank. One of the few squads that, even when they've had bad games, have kind of just been laughing it off and keeping that mentality strong. But then they're playing some quality games. Real smart setup in the circle, good aggression as well. Star has been hitting some blinders. OCO's been on point. It's just really cool, man.
That is bad news, but you're right. Yeah, for them, they have definitely ascended. All I can imagine is all the players just putting their arms out wide and then just rising through the roof of the ceiling right now, because it's such a change of pace. But this year is so disappointing for Falcons. Alter Ego, another team that realizes that they've got to do very, very well. I'm not sure if this is targeted or not, but losing a play for Falcons feels really rough and sort of does put a nail in the coffin. There's still a chance to escape it though, but for Alter Ego, this was also very much needed. They need to gain space, they need to gain control over towards La Driera on this south side. Next circle about to pop for stage 2. Wow! Up towards the northwest here. Favors over towards Alpha 7 as well, who are going to be able to get a lot of control available for themselves. Falcons have to ditch the vehicle. It explodes as it barrels through the air. But so many teams have to barrel their way into the circle as well. Again, it's that fated battle between Rejects and Alpha 7.
A classic fight at this point that will decide so much. And there's other squads wanting to get stuck in as well, seeing if they've got a late invitation to the party. Meanwhile, Quest fighting versus Melise and applying the pressure onto them. CEO later not fancying his chances here as he'll begin to back up. Keep in mind, we've seen some chicken dinners from Melise on Miramar. It feels like they do spread their wings a bit more on this map, a little bit more confidence when it comes to this as a battleground. How's that going to work out from today, though? It's a whole different ballpark. Al Haji keeping his eyes peeled in case they re-peak, but no aggression displayed. Meanwhile, on screen, you've got Gladiators starting their rotation and looking to get into an advanced position early. Kitsune barraging off shots with a Mini 14.
Yeah, Gladiator's able to squeeze out some secret points at the end of that last angle. I didn't think they'd get too far into that one, but that just shows how much they want it. Still in 9th place, 115 points, tied with Tiamba at the moment. Quest not far behind, but with them being currently held out by Melise Esports, who are just a significantly good edge team. Easy goes down, Fahidan low, out in the blue as well on stage 2. It's not going to hurt too much, but there is a time bomb ticking over here for Quest. Quest. They'll have to leave at some point. Al-Hadji begging Poser to peek there, but he just refuses, remains in place. Just that ever-looming threat coming through from Malise.
And that sums them up pretty well, man. It feels like Malise kind of always are, you know, the big dog just barking away at you. Anytime that you think you've got a competitive edge, they sort of turn up and really try and deliver some fear into you. Oh, man. Hey, this is going to be a spooky one, Blank. It feels like at this point in the group, it really is just so hard to call. Even fights where you feel like players should be individually confident have a bit of a blessing in the hand-to-hand combat. And it's just going whichever way, but you predict. It really is crazy how we've found ourselves in this point where it feels like anyone could take a fight.
And that fight could decide a lot in terms of the leaderboard, in terms of where people are going to end up. Circle approaching us ever closer as time goes on. We got Zia currently taking task to hand versus STE. This team has really stepped up, and I think that they can leave this tournament with their heads held up high. It's unlikely that Zia is going to have any chance at all to get into that top 11. Before this team, at the start of the tournament, really felt like they had nothing much to offer to us, but they've learned so much as this tournament's gone on, and it's very valuable knowledge that they'll come away from. Even if they do go home, they won't be getting through to PMGC, but it's going to set themselves up for success in their region over towards next year. Quest tries to force the issue, but they're getting taken out. See you later, in the same vein, gets his head taken off, and they're making it through on a very difficult rotation here. Malise struck by surprise. Kante finds one, and they're all currently still alive, albeit easy, gets back up on his feet.
Oh, here comes the boys in alter ego, though, not wanting to be ratioed on this one as they want to punish what remains of Bra. First few bullets land on target. Toxic, though, we know he's a bit of a clutcher. No PP Bizen in sight, though. Just a rifle to contend with. Meanwhile, Meku gets manhandled as he'll go down. Zuxi taken out as the play zone nips at his heels, and Redface leaves Tixie feeling ill as he clashes back against the Gladiators. Their chainmail buckling under the constant barrage of bullets the Evos are putting out, Blank, keeping the pressure on them now.
Gladiators, they just need to send players forward at this point in time, not like they've get them back up again. They just need to go for a salvage mission. It's something they're very well known for. Taking shots, though, doing a lot of damage. They keep them at bay and keep them in the blue. They wonder how much more meds they have left. Actually, Kitsune's clapping back. A Matic, reinvigorated by Kitsune, Stan comes back into the fold.
Kitsune, after taking the pot shots, jumps back in the vehicle, knows that he's got to roam further forward, trying to play off his teammates' contact. The rest of Gladiators gone for good as well, so it is just a duo. But Bra Esports, they're finished off, Blank, and this very well might be where their story ends. No chance to get points anymore, and that danger zone is still where their tournament lives is left.
And with Quest up to 113 points, with the way they just played out that angle, it just feels so unlikely now that Bra Esport will ever be able to catch up from going forward. It is unfortunate, but it's the thing. It's just how things go down at the end of the day. Kitsune out. Matic has to send forward. He's in front of the guys from Procedure Evos. Falcom's up the hill, and Matic has a tall task ahead of him. As Redface gets ever closer and closer, he sort of needs to win this 1v2. Finds the first, and Misery off in the distance. Can he hit his shots?
Bullets going down consistently, but Matic unable to find the connection onto Misery that would spell his demise. Now he's getting back into the zone, puts the pedal to the metal, has the ridge to protect him, at least from the elevated peak from Falcons. DX are just ahead. I8 and Tiamba are scrapping up close as well. A barrage of bullets going back over. Quick trade is found. Play zone biting at the heels as well as people are getting clowned all around. Here's the peek back out onto Tiamba once again. Uli, what can he really do? I mean, he's taking a fight peak after peak, but the Mini 14 really starting to strip that confidence away from them.
I8 want to keep going. Gladiators, surprisingly, still have that player in the mix. Tiamba comes in all the way from the south side, but it's Blade just cutting them to pieces right now. Tiamba might be leaving the game in ribbons. And they would have liked to get a couple more points on the board. And sometimes it's just those singular points that can be the difference maker. Up to 6 eliminations now. I8 looking for the climb. It's going to be hard. And Puncher finds Ghost. Sends some shots over towards him. Some of them pass through the ethereal object, though. Send straight in towards the sand. And Ghost might just get away with this.
A battle of fine margins. So many of our squads right now being able to consistently delve out ship damage that's making everyone feel uncomfortable. Confidence knocked all across the shop. Puncher going for a risky reset on the vehicle, spelunking his way downhill. Six will come in to grab his man and get him into a safe space. Pops the stims on the getaway. But he's going over into the direction of I8. And if they've got their wits about them, they might be able to find some output here. Bit of damage on the getaway. They go for the fast adjustment. Bullets barrage again down towards their direction. Gets himself a bit of cover to work with. At least you found something to play off of.
Yeah, Compound that will set themselves up to holding out this south side of the arena. It's decent for Falcons, but with 94 points and only 1 elimination on the map, they really do need to get a little bit more here. And with the 2 players alive, with Alter Ego in a very central position and Quest holding up towards their northeast edge, it just feels unlikely that they're going to be able to profit over either of these teams. So with Bra Esport out, Falcons out, soon to be at least from this spot, and Alter Ego and Quest just going to get further and further into this match. Almost certainly feels like we're getting into a scenario now where Alter Ego, Quest, Tiamba, Gladiators all battling out to see who's going to be in that 12th place at the end of the day, and only one more match after this one to fully decide it. Matic all on his lonesome over towards the western side, doesn't have too much of a chance to get further into this match, so he's got a tall task ahead of him. With DX all around, breathing down his neck from up on high, he's scared, man. He's basically locked in a room.
It is a terrifying prospect to have to deal with. Not going to get any easier for them. So many of our squads taking some hefty hits, bringing their numbers down to duos, trios, and even solos in the case of Gladiators. Blade hops in a driving seat, tries to push further forward. I8, do they realize they blank? They might be running into a tripwire, a double grenade setup with the pins primed, ready to dash them out, but instead it's the response back from I8 that hits the first man, knocking one of the Falcons down to their knees, looking to finish off with a backstab
It's
as
over.
well. Oh, mate, they're gone.
And for Falcons there, that is a real difficult defeat to take. It's a real difficult one to swallow. 94 points for the Falcons. That's pretty much it for them too. Next game would have to be an absolute killer of a match. Teams would have to go down early. Alter Ego would have to go out right now if they want to have a chance. DX challenging off versus Matic. The UMP does a good amount of damage. There's still more going through. And Matic is dodging, ducking all around. Wants to get this elimination point. Finds another, in fact. And Levi is considering jumping off the top edge, but can't quite find the angle. These 2 eliminations could mean so much to Matic here, but can't quite confirm them without revealing his position. Shots off to the side. They look so close and on target. And yes, they are. Lamborghini is bleeding out right now. Let's see if the players can get towards him and get DX back to a full 4-man squad.
Oh, struggling to get up the hill off the back of the commotion that's caused.
gets it.
Lamborghini's gone, man. Matic's dying wish as he takes him down in the end there. Oh, mate, that was absolutely rough for him as well. You could see how he was trying to figure out the peak, wanting to get a nice wide swing on to take the fight towards Gladiators. But in the end, Gladiators have been stopped. They're only going to be able to find those 2 eliminations in the space of this game here on Miramar. Room for Quest. Room for Alter Ego to try and get some additional points. Talking of which, though, taking the fight straight to Quest. It's Reject back into the drive-in seat, looking to deal some very heavy hits, and they've cleaned the entire squad up in a matter of seconds.
And Alter Ego, now it opens up to them. The gate fully swings wide. They're in 12th place. They can leapfrog over the top of Quest at the moment. Like we said before, they got a strong position towards the center of the map. A gifted position to them after a very strong rotate. Let's see how far they can take this one. because this could mean everything to them, setting themselves up for a great game to push themselves further upwards and take their spot in that survival stage that they've held on to for the majority of Group Green, only now in the last day slipping out, and they realize that there is some serious work that needs to be done in this Miramar going forward. I8 taking damage, Chua from DX looking to light them up.
He really is. They're looking more and more like a Christmas tree right now, Blank, as every bullet is on target and they are being lit up. Aggression with the Molotov as well, dashing it towards the smoke and hoping that he can start to force them out. The HE for good measure off the back of the contact as well. Should detonate right in the middle. A little bit off center though, but the bullet spam is still doing the job. This man is not missing. He's got thermal vision on his eyes.
Pump some more bullets through, trying to find a little bit of those damage numbers here and there. Chua backs off as the bullets whiz across the back of his head. Leaves himself vulnerable and open, but realizes that DX has got bigger problems on their hands. They need to get further into this circle, further towards that western side. You got Loops holding over towards the northeast edge. Reject right on the side of the action. And Alpha 7 once again pumping even harder into this game. This team has done so much work to maintain presence towards that top side of the lobby, and Reject just cannot catch up no matter how hard they try. They've had a real respectable run of them have Reject, but that ticket is just looking like it's swinging away in the wind and sort of unreachable no matter how far they grasp their hands out at it.
There's no easy ones now. There's no freebies this late into Group Green. You've got to fight for everything you want, and everything has to be picture perfect. So many of our squads that have been given blessings have grabbed them with both hands. But you've still got to do all you can here. No one wanting to make another mistake, give an opportunity for a squad to swoop in on them. For DX though, their days might be numbered, backing off to try and create a little bit of space between them and Madballs. Madballs do lose the first man on the fight. Rejects on the getaway though, they've been hit with a good night uppercut. They split into two different vehicles, hoping that that'll be enough to bypass the bullets from Luke, but Luke's unrelenting. Bullet after bullet, Blank, stripping the HP off Rejects and starting to end their story.
A little bit of help for their guys over towards Brazil on A7, and Reject will go out with just 3 points in tow. In the meantime, is the Mad Bulls and DX going toe-to-toe on this side of things, and they feel like they stubbed their feet on one another here because DX is giving it just as bad as it takes. Nade over the top, explodes in his face, but it's Zerich from long range to take him out and whiz a bullet directly through the head of DX. 7 eliminations, great stuff, leads them up towards a very strong position at the top side of the lobby in 6th place. But it is Mad Bulls to go a little bit further. Ghost tries to remain in the game, but it's just haunting teams at this point in time. Not much of anything to do yet, and Lukes is looking for the exorcism.
Seems like he's on the mark. The holy water going down in the form of the bullets that he is spraying towards them, splashing all around him. And making it far harder for much of a move for I8 in this one if it's all about the solo points securing for him. Alpha 7 moving their eyes onto their Brazilian brethren as well up on top of the hill. They made their lives easier by taking down Rejects, but will A7 be as kind to not target Loops here? As they go toe-to-toe, you're looking at 3 alive for A7, a full squad for Loops. It's only them and Alter Ego that have actually got the entire squad alive and kicking at this point. The last man for Melise is Lewis, and he's lurking onto Stalwart. Do they know? The zone slowly pushing him further forward. First contact found with a nade, hefty damage. That's a chunky one, and Tops so quick with the reactions.
Takes him out of there. Stalwart and Lutz, the two prodigal teams towards the top side of the lobby, going head to head. But Lutz, with 11 eliminations on this map, have been absolutely disgraceful in the amount of damage they've been able to do towards any of these other squads. Mad Bulls, again, make it towards another end game. It's good news for them as they are really securing their position towards that survival stage. But it is truly Alter Ego. Everyone has eyes on right now. Can they make their way through to the survival stage? Then make it towards a central position position. Alpha 7 has to push out to them. So do Loops, so do Stalwart. And this is a massive chance now for them to push through from 12th place into 11th, taking away that hard-earned position of Quest despite them going down so early on in this game.
Thing is, it doesn't matter if you think you've earned your placement at this point. It matters what you do every single second of this game of Miramar. There is no room for overconfidence. Peak after peak, though, Alpha 7 trying their luck, sniping down, hoping the bullets will connect and that they'll be able to strike versus Loops. Cardozin takes a bit of damage, but he's okay. Geometry will provide him cover. He can tuck in and keep himself safe. Meanwhile, a lot of their focus is over towards the ridge, down by Alter Ego. That's another squad you want to prioritize. You know they're a full 4. If you can start to strip them back a little bit, it will make your lives easier. But they're playing together, Blank, in unison. They attack versus Stalwart and begin to thin the numbers. Meanwhile, Loops struggling now. It's all going wrong for them.
Even Zerich taking pot shots from along the way, looks to bump up the elimination points on their side. Mafioso has been a serious standout coming through from Alpha 7. Takes down Ayala on the drop. Great tracking coming through from them. Alter Ego have held a really aggressive and greedy split on this compound, but no one's been able to get close, and they've been holding it down fairly decently so far. Loops as well as Stalwart not able to get anywhere close, and even more shots been sent through as Cardozin has the last laugh. Eliminates Stalwart from the game. It's Tulika though with a decent spray, but fluffs it just at the end there. Felt like maybe he could have picked up Rosemary.
Oh mate, there can certainly be a few more pickups coming in quick, but I think it's more going to be bullets being picked up by a lot of these teams in risky positions now. For Loops, you've got to feel for them. Had 4 alive in such a powerful position for so long, but when it matters most, they started to crumble under the pressure. And now the only squad that is fully top to the brim is Alter Ego. The battle of the Brazilians continues as Cardozin sets his focus onto Alpha 7. Alter Ego know where he is, and they've set 2 of the players from their separate duos to focus up towards the hillsides, Fnatic and Potato, keeping their eyes on Cardozin's moves. Meanwhile, Madballs lurking behind their vehicle, waiting for the peak to come out. You're going to see so many trades in rapid succession the second a fight instigates here.
Yeah, we move a little bit further towards that western edge, and I think that's the all-important thing here for this game. Alter Ego, and the circle starts to enclose as we head over towards stage 9 very, very shortly. They're going to be forced out of these buildings, and Alpha 7 wants to wait as long as possible to pick up these shots as they leave the compound of their own, but they'll be able to head towards the ditches. Madballs have set themselves up a little bit of a compound of their own, mainly just supported by the vehicles that they've positioned in this area. I think all the teams right now hoping against hope that they can make it to a position we get towards stage 9 and Alter Ego have to leave that base of operations. Top 4 teams, but Alter Ego for them, the chicken dinner is so much more important to them. Madballs are pretty safe right now at this point in time towards the middle of the lobby. You got Loops, who are definitely safe, securing their ticket off the back of this big game towards the PMGC Grand Finals, and Alpha 7 similarly have their ticket stamped. It is just Alter Ego that it matters most for them now.
They need it. You're damn right, Blank. They're the side that really want this the most because of what it means for them in the overall standings. Thing is, it's not going to come easy though. Even with the advantage you've got, having all 4 players alive, having extra utility in the backpacks, you still got to play smart. You can't afford to run any risky business. Grenades being thrown over onto the Madballs. Alpha 7 pushing up, Fnatic attacking and dealing a few big blows. Chip damage out onto the Brazilian team that remains in the runnings here. Meanwhile, Madball starting to group up, looking to try and play together. Could that be a bit of a curse for them though? There's so many nades to work with for Alter Ego that if Madballs close the gap between them both, they could be putting themselves in a position to be blown away by the nades. They strike back onto Alpha 7 though. A lot of damage established. Fast flick from Rosemary as he runs rampant, shutting down Zerich, continuing on their warpath now.
Alpha 7 sort of locked in position. They're going to have to try and get closer. The nades have to be big. They need an opening off the back of this one. They just simply cannot find it. The circle just is supporting the guys from Alter Ego so well. They can play off the back of this ridge side. Mafioso just gets knocked now. 4 eliminations for the guys on Maples. Not a huge game, but a decent one. Alpha 7 still remaining strong. 2 players, but the nades flying over the top here, looking towards them. And again, Alter Ego just haven't had to move.
They haven't, apart from one man, and that's Rosemary, that's been developing a flank for quite some time.
Huge.
Won't even need to pull it off though, Blank, as they pop off. Fnatic furiously frags his way through them, and Alter Ego, when they needed a chicken dinner, when they had to grab one, they pull it away.
It is just a case today that it's been game after game where a team that desperately need to win, a team that needs to stay within striking range at the end of the day, they pick themselves up a chicken dinner and maintain that pressure.